This is the InRetroSpect Show, a monthly periodical about video games. I'm your host, Samuel Turner, and I'm joined this month by the Professor of Peter Willington, the Doctor of Derby, that's Dr. Chris Darby, and the Master of Being Miserly, it's Daniel Frost. Welcome to you all. Coming up on the show this month, the usual lineup of wonderful things. We'll be discussing our game that we're making just in time for Christmas, which is handily both the title and a description of when it's going to be out. Also, what are we up to? We're getting hot. We're getting hot, guys. I hope you're ready for that.
I've got my
We're
top
getting
off already.
super hot. With the Super Hot game, the first prototype I think we ever played on free play, which will be fun. What else? Chris, you've been out and about, haven't you? You came to Manchester.
I went to Manchester, yeah.
Before you tell us what you did in Manchester, do you like Manchester, don't you?
I do like Manchester. It's a very nice place. Lots of buzz, a great culture there, some great places to eat. We had a look. We went there for cocktails once with Dan, didn't we? And it was really, really nice. And what was that called? That cocktail place? The one you took us to?
It's called
The Alchemist.
That was it.
The Alchemist. Well done.
And
I had the worst cocktail, maybe the worst drink ever invented at the Alchemist. It was called the Serial Killer. The Serial Killer. Okay. Obviously, cereal spelt with a C.
This had better be good, because I reckon I can top this one already. But let's go on.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. Okay. So in my mind, it was brandy with milk, and then it will be like a sort of like a side portion of cereal on the side, just like a little snack, a little like aperitif. It turned out instead to be a martini glass filled with brandy and milk, as I anticipated, but then Cheerios just on the top. so the overall effect of the drink was like having day-old cereal milk with a disgusting brandy aftertaste.
And also at the wrong time of day, which is also confusing.
Wrong time of day, and everyone else it was like a summer's day, and everyone else was having like sex on the beach, and I don't know what else, rum passions.
Amazing.
It was grim.
Better than shredded.
But I drank it all. The only other bad drink I had was another one at a place in Manchester, and it was called it's called something like a fish in a bag.
A what?
It's like a fish in the bag.
It's like chicken in a basket.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And it's like a little plastic bag, something you put your sandwiches in. Yeah. And it had gin and tonic in, and an orange peel shaped like a goldfish. And so it's like a fish in a bag, but filled with gin and tonic. Now, I don't like gin and tonic. I find that gin is like drinking feathers, and the tonic's bitter. And the bag doesn't stay seated on the table, so you have to hold it for the entire duration that you're drinking it.
Like it's a catheter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it's a fishy catheter. So go on, Pete.
I have a similar story of that when I went to
a carnival.
You
don't drink them, Dan.
I went on holiday to Bangkok, and I went to a shop. I wanted to get a cold drink, so I thought I'd buy a Coke, and the only Cokes they had were these glass bottles. So I purchased one of those and left the shop, ready to drink my beverage. Before the shopkeeper ran after me saying, no, come back. So took us back into the shop. And apparently in Bangkok you can't be on the streets with glass bottles. So what he did was he took a small plastic bag, took the bottle of Coke off me, poured the Coke into the plastic bag, gave me a straw and sent me on my way. So I was walking down the street with a bag of Coke and a straw.
So why aren't you allowed to take the bottles?
I don't know. I don't speak.
Maybe the shop has only got one bottle and he just refills it.
Dan, were you literally just about to say Bangkokian?
I thought about it, but I thought, no, that may come across as racist as opposed to
blatantly.
My
What happened, Dan,
funny.
was they saw you coming and they thought, we're going to have a laugh with this guy.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Hey, Larry,
Possibly.
let me see whether or not I can get him to drink.
And Dan, what kind of bag are we talking? Sandwich, like Sam's, or was it like a shopping bag that had the little holes in it to avoid suffocation?
It was somewhere
Race
between
against the
two.
clock.
There were no holes in it, but there were handles. So it was a fashion statement.
Was it a bag
really.
for life?
It was my bag of coke.
Can you imagine if it was a massive bag and it was just swimming around at the bottom, just this really thin layer?
With a receipt. There's always a receipt at the bottom of one of those bags.
Oh my God. Awful drinks. Well, that's Manchester for you. So we'll be talking about what you did in Manchester, Chris, later on in the show. We'll shove it in at some point. If it fits into the conversation, we'll bring it up. So it might be up to you to bring it up. But not now, because everybody, shh. Can you hear that? Can you hear that?
Something.
You can hear, because you know what that is, guys. It's time for Chris's gaming news.
GTA V POV.
These get worse.
Is that with Bailey Kipper?
Knowledge is action.
I thought you were going to say porridge then.
Bashful button bashers are better at making online buddies. It's an arcade, not a museum, you twat.
That's not even a headline.
That's just something that Chris wanted to get off his chest.
Oh my God, is that?
I know. This is Chris's gaming news for headlines from sometime in the news of gaming. We get to pick two. The other two, if you want to know what they are, you're just going to have to abuse Chris on Twitter at Digital Strider. So I reckon we go for the last one first. This is an arcade, not a museum, you twat. Why the vitriol, Chris? What's going on?
Because, Sam, I'm glad you asked. Basically, there's a museum for gaming coming into fruition, which will appear in Nottingham next year.
Nottingham, of all places.
But the developers are very keen to stipulate that they're not going to refer to it as a museum, but as an arcade. So rather than going in there and seeing games behind glass windows, exhibited like that, you'll be able to actually play these old classic games in this space as well. They don't want you to go there and look at the games, to actually play them. It's kind of like a reliquary of all these famous kind of gaming hardware and games throughout history, really. Exhibited.
But anyone who's gone to a museum in the last sort of 5 years will know that all museums are interactive these days. So I don't see what the benefit of calling it a...
I know, it's a question of semantics, but I think they almost want to kind of frame it as not as something that's set in stone that looks into the past, but actually has still got its fingers at the pulse of the future, on the pulse of the future.
They're worried people won't go. That's, you know.
Because as soon as you say museum, you think boring.
No, I don't. I think really exciting. I
know, but you aren't. Let's, and I don't mean anything negative
and
by this.
I'm
an
every Joe,
like
an everyday kind of person.
Yeah, you're not though, are you? You're not sort of Joe tea coffee drinker. You're
I'm
not
a man's
like
man.
No.
I'm working class roots.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. No.
Well,
Chris, you just used a word in that little sentence you used before that I didn't understand. A man's man, working class lad wouldn't have done that.
Trying to blend in.
Something like reliquary or something like that. I didn't catch it.
A working. Yes, exactly.
I'm a chimney sweep. I'm a ragamuffin.
Sure.
Well, it's going to cost £2.5 million anyways development.
What's it get in?
No, to build this. It'll open in March 2015, so look for that next year.
To be fair, though, I mean, I'm actually just kind of repeating the title of this article, but surely it is just an arcade.
Well, I mean,
because if you can play the games,
it's an arcade.
How is it different just to an arcade down the road?
Because an arcade is there and designed to make money, and is most arcades, I would argue, are there to show the latest games or to appeal to a specific trend or to cater to a specific audience, whereas this is trying to preserve a specific part of history, video gaming history for a reason. Like it's not there so that you go there and have fun, have a fun time. You might have a fun time if you are there, but it is more about let's preserve these things.
And surely the word arcade refers to the building rather than what's in the building, because when you're a kid and you go to the shopping arcade with your gran, and you're like, woo, we're in for a good time here. Yeah, some Pac-Man. Oh, some Time Crisis. But really, you're going to Bon Marsh and Wilkinson's. So arcade is really
it means collection. It means like collection or something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you get like a collection of shops. Walter Benjamin, the French philosopher, he spent 10 years writing about the arcades of Paris, for example, and that wasn't all games. I've got a quote here from Ian Livingstone.
Yeah, you're working class, Chris.
Yeah, totally.
And there wasn't all games,
Totally.
of course. Now pass me a Greg's.
Ian Livingstone, he basically says that for the millions of people who love them, it's only natural that video games should have their own permanent cultural home. Just as fine art enjoys the National Gallery, performance has the National Theatre, and film and music have many permanent spaces that celebrate them. So like Museum of Living Image. So it's for him, gaming is just as significant and just as important and deserves its own building.
Yeah.
But also it's about seeing how the games is made as well. People are kind of there. They almost are exhibited in that sense. You kind of see how gaming is created and things and how it's changed. So there is a museum aspect to that.
It's a worthy endeavour, and I'm sure we'll all go out for a day trip at some point. Let's pick our second story. GTA v POV. Go on, Dan, what do you want?
Well, I was going to say, I think the first two, I kind of knew what they were, but the third one I wasn't too sure about.
All right, okay.
The third one I wasn't too sure about, the one with all the alliteration.
Button bashing.
You mean the bashful button bashers are better at making online buddies? That one.
I like the fact that you stopped the alliteration halfway through.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest, I couldn't think of a synonym for online that began with B, so that's a little challenge for people at home.
Broadband?
Broadband, yeah. Broadband buddies. Bashful button bashers are better at befriending broadband buddies. I mean, come on, Chris.
These are getting weak, Chris.
Right, Chris. Okay, let's have.
We'll cut that.
Anyone
We'll loop
would
it.
think you had other stuff to do in the last month
that we've now rewritten.
Right. Okay. Now listen round. What do you think the story's about first?
Well, I don't know. We just rewritten it, frankly.
Okay. Right. This is a study from psychologists at the University of Munster, and they've basically concluded.
It's quite spooky, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, Peter.
When you walk in, there's a severed hand that opens the door for you.
And there's a
That's
Jewish
the Addams family.
That's the Addams family.
The Munsters.
They're the Munsters.
No,
they're not.
The Munsters is the one with the Jewish vampire granddad.
What?
The Munsters is where the dad is Frankenstein.
Yeah, and they've got
The Addams family is where
Freddy the Wolf.
the dad
boy.
is Raul Julia.
Is there a crossover?
No.
Oh.
They may live on the same street though. I'm glad we put that to bed. Okay, so the University of Munster. Sorry for if you're listening and you're from there. Was mocking your probably very nice hometown. Basically, the study there by psychologists has concluded that shy people are more likely to make more friends in online games.
Wow.
That's what their studies concluded, that you're more likely to make friends in an online environment. But I thought this is a really interesting conversation.
You're more likely to make friends in an anonymous space.
Yeah, than you are in real life. That's what I'm thinking. Like, think about the people that we know that we actually haven't met, that we've kind of befriended. I've interviewed people for InRetroSpect over the years. I've never ever met. I've never shared a space with them, a physical, geographical space, even a country, and we're kind of mates, for want of a better word. How weird is that?
You're mates, I suppose. I suppose the problem is that what is the definition of the word friend? Like I wouldn't say that I'm Bezzy mates with Smokes Mad Blunt 69. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not exactly going to be. I'm not. You know, if Sephiroth Killer 74 turned up to my door asking to sleep somewhere for the night, I wouldn't say, yeah, come on in, mate. But if one of you guys did, except for you, Dan, I'd say, yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
but what are we saying about making friends here? What is how
Has the definition of friends changed in the 21st century thanks to social networking? If we have Facebook friends, obviously that's not a synonym for real life friends.
Well, yeah, if I follow Jason Rubin on Twitter, I'm not mates with him.
No, but yeah, exactly. So there's obviously a distinction there, but there are people who I've become quite pally with entirely in an online capacity.
Yeah, true.
Do you think it's a good thing, or do you think it's unethically sound that you've got all these people that only have friends really in an online environment with people they've never met?
I don't think it's great to only have friends in an online environment.
No.
Because I think a key part of friendship is a physical interaction of being in someone's company. Because having a conversation in someone's company is very different to having a conversation with someone over Call of Duty. So you're not going to have the same kind of relationship. So I don't think it's good to have just friends online, because I don't think that's particularly healthy. I think you do need kind of physical interaction with people.
Do you think you can get to know someone in Call of Duty, Dan? Do you think you could actually meet somebody, like you had a blind date in Call of Duty? Do you think you could properly, effectively play that game and get to know a person?
And then marry them.
In Call of Duty? Yeah. All in one level.
You could learn stuff about them. You could probably actually learn stuff about them that you probably wouldn't get from a normal conversation.
Well, they're
stuff that
racist
they are likely to do.
Oh, they like their headshots.
But the way someone will play a game will give you an insight into their character in terms of the kind of player that they are. And for example, I wouldn't go around killing people and teabagging them. That's just me.
Because you're a stand-up guy.
Peter, you're notoriously the most... Peter, you're the most notoriously angry gamer online. So would you...
I don't like that.
Do you think you would have a partner now if... you'd met online, at a Street Fighter, playing each other at Street Fighter, or she'd seen you play Street Fighter, or... Do you think that sometimes that anonymity in the online world is better kept? Do you think the better use for it is to express that side of you don't want to share rather than to make friends?
So, fun fact, we play Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Phantoms online, her and I, with a friend of mine, Greg, and we play it as a little team of 3. You end up as teams of 8, so you end up with another 5 people, and unfortunately, it has revealed the dark side of my video gaming personality, which is to say, I have screamed down the microphone some words that that I probably wouldn't choose to say face to face to her.
Could you recreate the sentence but replacing those words with, say,
farm animals?
Barn animals, or characters from Disney movies.
Yeah, okay. So, I can't believe that you didn't shoot Prince Charming in the face. He was right flipping by you. You've just lost us the game. What the hell? And then just kind of sulking for about 10 minutes. So, yeah, it's not good. I think the people that I know online and the people who I know in real life and online are very different. They're very different people to talk with, and it's lucky that I can, if I've shouted at somebody down the thing, luckily I can go and walk into the other room and my girlfriend's in there and sort of say, "Heat of the moment, hey, good fun, all good fun."
I'm sleeping on the sofa tonight.
Oh
yeah?
God,
okay.
I've never, yeah. So, yeah, it's but I think that's mainly because I have a problem with a psychological problem with online multiplayer games. Than anything else. Chris, I'm sure you're an absolute delight when people play online. I'm sure you're...
Yeah.
Well, I think I must infuriate people online. Because I'm so slow. I'm so patient. I'm too patient. Sam's watched me play Metal Gear Solid 4, and I've known Sam for over 10 years now. We're practically brothers, but he's probably wanted to wring my neck a few times, watching me, wiggle forwards on my front in Metal Gear Solid 4 a centimetre at a time.
That was painful. If you hadn't travelled 600 miles, I think
it'd be interesting to see Chris play something like a Call of Duty online multiplayer, because I think he'd just be really polite.
Well, yep, I'm pretty sure, you have a good point and everything, but let's not throw the word faggot around so much, shall we?
I think, yeah.
Or you just see him stop looking at the scenery, just be like, oh, isn't this amazing?
All right, then hang on. What about you, Dan? What's Dan like? Bloody hell, don't have a pop at me. What's Dan like? What's Dan like to play with? Dan's the healer. That's what I've understood. Dan's the one that goes around. You guys got.
I'm either the healer or the guy who just sprints in.
No, yes, exactly. You are the latter
Leroy
one. You
Jenkins.
are not the healer. You are absolutely the one who Sam and I sat down. Go right. Okay, this is exactly how we're going to go through this mission. This is what we're going to do. Where the bloody hell's Dan gone?
Whereas
Guys,
me,
I'm down here. Guys, I'm dead. I'm dead. Guys, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Sadly, that is true. That's
When
generally
we
what
used to go
happens.
skag hunting in Borderlands, I distinctly remember Dan awakening the skags
Yeah.
way before we were prepared to deal
Hey,
with...
I remember distinctly an occasion where we were all on a cliff face, looking over, and in the distance we saw a really, I think the official term for the enemy was a badass skag. We saw it and we all laughed and let's not try and do that. At which point Pete ran down towards it, angered it, and then ran back. At which point we screamed at him, "Why? Why, Pete? Why?"
Sometimes that's fun. The funniest thing that's ever happened to all of us online was when we were playing Rainbow Six, and there's a great mode on it called like Terrorist Clear or something like that. Terrorist Hunt. We have to get a certain number of terrorists and kill them all. A bit like the game that we're going to be talking about next.
Smooth.
And we were down to like the last 2 terrorists, and I had the last grenade on our team, and so we were all cowered. We were all like lined up on this doorway, and throughout the whole thing we've been proper profesh.
Yeah.
We got like the fibre optics throughout the door. It was like, all right, lads, they're both in there. And I was like, don't worry. Sneakily opened the door, turned round. Oh, grenade and last grenade, lads, will be fine. Popped out into the door, threw the grenade, straight through the open window behind him. Explodes, kills me.
That was amazing.
That was a good day.
That was an
That's
amazing
great.
moment. Yeah.
That's the kind of the methodical support that I offer, really. Marvellous.
Dear.
This is the In Retrospect podcast. Monthly we do this stuff. InRetrospectPodcast.com is where you can find out a little bit more information. Because we all lead busy lives, one of the things we do here is we make sure we play a game. Because otherwise, well, I've only played one game this month, and that was an hour of Fez this afternoon, which was all right. It's a nice hat.
Have you not completed it yet?
No. I played an hour of it.
Oh, in total?
The first hour of
Oh, right, okay.
So to make sure that we're up on our gaming, we like to play a game that doesn't cost us anything. And this month, it's Super Hot. We call this little section free play, more for nostalgic reasons than anything else, but it purposely describes exactly what we're doing, playing games for free, and we're going to chat about it. Super Hot, this is something that you shoved in our direction, Peter Willington, so I'm going to let you take the lead. Let me just tell people that this is available at superhotgame.com. Off you pop.
All right then. So Superhot is currently a prototype, and the prototype got the attention of a lot of people when it hit the internet. It is a browser-based game. It won't be when it finally comes out, but it is...
Superhot.com. Superhot.com.
Superhot. I believe it's Unity, and
yes.
you can host Unity games in web browsers, which is amazing. It is a first-person shooter in which time only moves when you do. So if you
Can I give a good analogy to explain what it's like?
Right then.
It's a bit like The Flash, the video game.
The Flash?
As in The Flash, as in the DC superhero, The Flash.
Time doesn't stop when he stands still.
But he moves so fast. But he moves so fast, everything else is slow around him.
Oh, right. Okay.
Is it also a bit like watching me play Metal Gear Solid 4, Sam?
No, because time stood still for everyone then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, go on, Pete.
So
I'll explain more later on, but carry on.
You're in first person, and basically you need to think of it as if you take a step forward, your enemies can take a step forward, or they can pull the trigger on a gun, or they can turn to see you, or they can continue their patrol, or whatever it is. And everything else in the game actually moves at real speed. So if you continually hold forward, you are continually walking at a normal pace, and everything else around you is happening at a normal pace, and actually a realistic pace. But the genius of it is that if you let go of that, of walking forward, the key to move forward, then time stops essentially.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop because you are technically always moving, because you're technically always breathing. I think that's the justification for it. And if you turn your if you look left and right, for example, if you turn left, that is also classed as a movement or part of a movement, and therefore time speeds up ever so slightly there as well. Like I say, it is a prototype only. They are working on a full version of it, but I really felt like we had to play it because we've played some really interesting games so far this year, and I think that this is the one that is mechanically completely different to anything else we've ever played.
It's great.
Yeah, it is brilliant. So, it is, like I say, because it is only a prototype. You can't say this is what we think of the game prototype. This is what we think of the game Superhot, but it is enough of an experience to feel like it's a whole thing. Like it has a story arc, it has a beginning, middle, and an end, and it has all of the gameplay elements, or enough gameplay elements to make it feel like a whole thing. So I love it, and I've always loved it, and I really wanted you guys to play it, and I've got my fingers crossed, really, that you guys liked it too.
It's great. For me, as I said, it does kind of play a bit like what if The Flash had its own video game, because by the legend of The Flash, like, he moves so fast everything goes slower. So he's got you've got the time. So say someone shoots you, you've got the time to move out the way of that bullet and then make your shot and see your shot connect as you move forward or move somewhere else, which I think is like one of the greatest parts of the game, is a strategy that simple mechanic gives you. There's this one section where a gun drops in the middle of a corridor and there's 3 guys at the end of it, and you've got to get the gun.
Yeah.
So basically what you've got to do is you've got to move forward, which means that when they release bullets are coming towards you. You can see the bullets because they have this red trail that follows them. So it's almost like what you have to do is you have to zigzag, but it's kind of a staggered zigzagging motion. So you move to the left, so they all fire to the left. time stops. You can see where the bullets are. You can move to the right and you can dodge them, and then you just carry that on until you get to the gun and until you can fire.
To use like a really old reference, it is like being awakened in the Matrix, like, and being able to understand it and manipulate it in some way. Like I did feel like Neo, and it's not bullet time necessarily.
No, I think it generally is that you are a character that's moving faster than the world around him. So, Peter Willington, you won't have seen X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have? Okay. So the scene with is he Quicksilver in the X-Men films?
Yes, he is Quicksilver, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'll just get confused with the whole Fox, Marvel, Disney issue. So there's that scene with Quicksilver, and basically that's what I think is kind of... There are parts of that scene where the security guards are shooting at the mutants, and he's able, because he's moving faster than everything else, everything's in slow motion, he's able to dodge it and reconfigure the environment around him, which essentially is what Superhot's letting you do. And part of me thought, wouldn't it be great if, like, when a level finished, you were able to see what you did from a third-person perspective, but in real time? So, like, you know that scene in X-Men Days of Future Past when Quicksilver does all of that stuff, which is the best scene in the film, and then afterwards you kind of see it all in real time. I think that would have been awesome.
But if you actually look on the Kickstarter page, I do believe that is a feature that they are now including in the full version, because so many people did request it. And I do believe that was something, because they got quite a lot more than they originally asked for.
Yes,
they were able to do more with extra levels, and this is one of the features that they put in, because so many people requested it, the option that when a level finishes, it replays through in real time, so you can see. Because I agree, that was my first thought when I played it as well. I honestly think, I'm not going to say it's definitely the best, but it's one of the best games we've ever played on free play, I think. It's not, as I say, it's not that long. I finished it in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really not that long, because there's only about 5 levels, and it's some levels take a bit longer than others because of the complexity of them. Like, in one level you have you're kind of fighting against about 10 different people. I think you've got to kill 10 different people. So the kind of the ability, the strategy to move around the level, keeping in mind different people are coming at you from completely different angles, so you can't always see everyone. The only issue I had with the game at all was the developers felt a need to add like a twist to the ending of it.
I really like that.
That I just felt I thought it felt really forced.
But
and it didn't because it was a prototype. It didn't need it. It didn't need this kind of thing. I just thought this is what I would expect from a game like this, and the game wasn't giving me what I was expect. But then at the end bit, it came like, yeah, this is what these games do. Whereas everything else in the game was completely fresh and new.
So at the end, there is a kind of narrative that runs through the game. There's one bit where it says the deal is off, and there's another bit where it seems like you're walking through an art gallery, an art installation, and at the end, you are tasked with killing a CEO, and then some sort of what's the best way to kind of describe it? Some sort of like over figure, someone like appears on a TV screen and tells you to commit suicide, basically, and says, you know, you've done a good job, you're kind of a weapon of the state, or something to that
it's
effect.
a similar thing to G-Man from the Half-Life series.
When he
appears at various times, there's kind of an apparition in front of you.
So this kind of apparition appears, and I didn't find it that... I thought it was all right. And I think, Chris Darby, it's because we're playing a prototype rather than a full game, which is usually what we do. So what did that have much of an effect on how you played the game?
Yeah, because you're playing something that is essentially an underdog. It's that... So you give it more credit, I think, because of that fact. But as the rest of you have just kind of illustrated, irrespective of this being a prototype, it's still a very, very enjoyable experience, even if it wasn't labelled as being a prototype. It's funny, like I played this game actually a few months ago. I wanted us to just talk about this for a while, and it's just one of those ones that went to back to the recesses of my mind. And I love games that are based around one set of physics and just seeing the myriad of different ways in which they can creatively explore that. I mean, it may sound like we're describing like Bernard's watch with guns, but it's just this notion of... It feels a bit like a prototype in places because it has a bit of a mirror's edge kind of aesthetic. It's very simple, clear-cut use of colours, a very lovely white background, beautifully rendered, with the enemies and their bullets indicated by a very striking red. Red and white are the very clear palette, is the palette of this thing. But I didn't find myself wanting more. Whether they're going to add to that and embellish that with the full version, I don't know, and I don't really care because I think it's a very beautiful and very crisp playing experience. It's very fluid already, really. I just wanted it to last longer, and that's not a bad thing to say if you're only really playing a prototype.
What I found interesting about the whole prototype thing is thinking of... because we usually play fully completed games and we're really critical because they're never really what you expect. But it was quite interesting seeing the prototype because it was like, what are they going to do to make this better? Like, having a crouch function would have been good.
Yeah.
Like the way they indicate where enemies are, that's something that could have been improved. Like the animation and some of the 3D design, that needs a bit of improvement. So I think that's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed the game, because I can see where it could go rather than where it failed.
Yeah.
Or where it... Ultimately, what we end up usually doing in this section is criticising stuff because it's free and it's shit. But this was kind of like, this has got a great proof of concept. But, you know, I'm excited because it could get better.
It's a really good vertical slice of what that full game could potentially be. Absolutely, there needs to, ultimately, at the end of all of this, there needs to be, when they release the full thing, you know, there's got to be more to it than what's happening. Otherwise, it's going to be a very simple, straightforward game in which, you know, and I don't think a lot of people are going to like it. Like, but what I really like is, like, the potential that's there. Like, are they thinking about multiplayer? Like, I would love, you know, how would you do that? Like, you know, I love this. I love this idea that it is a completely different set of rules to the real world, and yet it is still understandable and relatable to the real world, and therefore and it does what games do best, and that's put you into a different space as you, like into an alien world essentially. And I think it absolutely should be commended for doing that.
I mean, the game's going to be out in June next year. So they're obviously going to be working on it, or I would expect, well, they're hoping to get the Kickstarter alpha out soon, fall, which is autumn of this year, with the beta out next year. So I guess it's not going to be much different to the game that we played. They've also been working on Oculus Rift support, which is quite interesting. You can still support this game on Kickstarter if you wish, but it has got the funding, so you might just want to wait until it comes out. But if you want to play it, superhotgame.com, superhotgame. We all recommend it, don't we, guys?
Highly
I'll take that. I'll take that as a yes. Wonderful. So from a game which is super hot to a game which is quite chilly, even though it's been on the back burner for quite a while. Yes, it is our game just in time for Christmas. The aim was just to make a good Christmas game, and we'll find out if we've done that in a matter of weeks. So we're coming to the arse end, the vinegar strokes of the game that we are making. Quick synopsis for those who are not in the know. You still laughing at vinegar strokes? I had a discussion with my girlfriend and a friend of mine about how the term vinegar strokes came about. and not to start talking about penises again for a third in retrospect show of a month. But yeah, that's quite an interesting debate if you want to have it with your own significant others, what that term actually means. Anyway, so the brief synopsis of the game is you play a gentleman who's got snow blindness, and with the help of a friendly old gentleman, you have to guide your way home using just sound just in time for Christmas. So on last month's show, we established that Dan's made some lovely pictures for everyone to look at. Yeah. And I've been doing the sound design for the last 2 or 3 days. Which has been quite an interesting experience because we've got this map. I've been just trying to create a soundscape which is sort of half realistic but also half gamified. Would that be the term? So you can easily find your way around in the map just by listening to the sounds. And the next part is that Chris has just got to put this all together, which is going to be fun, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it's going to be hilarious. It's going to be like assembling the world's most complex jigsaw puzzle into a frame that is kind of not too consistent. We chose Adventure Game Studio at the start of the year because after some research we felt it was the easiest and the most efficient. However, I'm finding some bugs with it. I've got my 25 rooms there ready and waiting for Dan's artwork and Sam's sounds and Pete's voices that he's managed to get from his very talented voice actor Jesse that we heard last month.
Jesse Allen.
I just need to assemble these pieces, and I'm trying to do it in a manner that's going to be as cost effective in terms of time as possible, really. So I was thinking, instead of having a main title screen that's separate, we make the main title screen like a room, like room 0, for example, which has the titles in it and stuff, and you start the game by leaving that room and going to room 1 where the story kind of begins. And you can't go back into that room 0. Just as a means, therefore, that it's all contained, therefore, if you get my drift. So rather than trying to faff around with trying to create a separate main title screen and buttons and all that jazz, as soon as the player boots up the game, the main title screen blends in a kind of Naughty Dog fashion seamlessly into the rest of the game.
Would you be happy having, say, instead of just room 0, having 2 rooms there? So you have one room having the title screen, the second room having the introductory text, and then moving in. So so they're not all bunched on one screen.
Yeah, let's do that. And then we can have, like, room 1, we meet Phineas. We've got the voice acting of Jesse. Dan will have to, because we talked about this, me and Dan talked about this separately, this idea that actually, instead of having, like, an avatar of Phineas, it might be quite good if Dan makes, like, a blurred out version of Phineas into that backdrop. Because you're snowblind anyway, you're not going to really be able to make out the full features of Phineas. So that's something I can't really do, that blurred kind of quality that Dan's got. I can't really do that in Adventure Game Studio. It's a very pixely kind of rendition. So Dan does that. I can layer the voice acting over that, which will dramatically speed up the process. So for me, it becomes a process of adding the images and the sounds, really, and making sure I script it so people can move between rooms.
In terms of the visuals, all I see it as just you having, there's a 25 grid, you having 25 JPEGs, and you slot one each into each room. Yeah. So the one with Phineas, he just appears in that. So you won't have to do anything with the actual visuals themselves other than drop them in the room as necessary.
Exactly.
So that should make life easier for you.
2 things though, Dan. Could you make the images 800 by 600? This is solid gold quality radio. I'm just talking about resolutions. 800 by 600. And Sam, I've just remembered. Sam, I'm going to bring Sam into this because Sam has kindly furnished us with 25 sounds, 1 for each square, which I realised the other day is the same number of doors you have on an advent calendar.
Technically, you have 24 in an advent calendar.
Well, I have 25
and you've just added another 2. So
yeah, but you always have that little credit sequence for an advent calendar 2 days before, don't you? In the end of November. So we'll have that. I just realised, Sam, your beautiful sounds. Is there a chance that you could have a fade in and a fade out for the sounds?
Yeah, they are fading in and fading out.
Brilliant. Because I briefly just listened to them. I just kind of, instead of listening to the whole, I just kind of picked a section in the middle just so I could kind of get a sense of how the sound develops and the levels and things.
So, just to talk briefly about my approach to the sound design for this game, it's really rather simple. We basically got a map on which there are certain things like a stream which borders part of the map, and then there's a forest which borders the other half of the map, and within the map there are things like a church, frogs, ducks, and my approach was basically to have the sounds of these animals present in not only their main squares but squares that surround them, so you have an idea of exploration. And simply put, sounds get louder the closer you get to them. There are a couple of sounds that I've yet to have sourced, which is one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys to see if we can just have an idea of what we could do. Because in Dan's map, there are two things that appear on it which currently don't have a sound in the world.
Right.
There's a picture of a house, and there's a picture of a rock.
Right.
So
Sam, are you stuck between a rock and a hard place?
So when I was doing the sound design, I was like, right, how do I make the sound of? Because there is a house that we're going to be going to, which is the final destination, but that's going to be filled with like party noise and clinking glasses and all that kind of stuff. But then there's another house on the map, and there's another one which looks like it has a picture of a rock. So I was going to suggest to you guys whether it is wise to have another house on the map, and if so, how do you? What sound does a house make?
Well, the house is on there. I can kind of clarify probably a lot of this for you. We have the house where we are trying to get to, the goal. The secondary house is the house belonging to Phineas, which he talks about. That's why that exists, because he says, "This is my house." So we have to have a house there. Whereas the rock, which I'm looking at the picture now, the rock is actually a flat cap to simulate Phineas being there. So you don't have to make up a sound for a rock.
Oh, right. Okay, perfect.
So it's an old man's flat cap. That was my sign for an old man.
It's an easy mistake to make.
That's not a rock.
We've all been there. We've always. Is that a rock?
Good. So all the hours I spent on a certain corporation's sound effects library looking for a rock.
Yeah.
How do you make a rock sound?
Yeah.
What
if
you
you
actually
looked a
wanted
bit
was the
closer,
sound of
you'd have
flat
seen
cap.
it was just a flat cap.
Rustling in the wind. A melted snowman.
Good. Awesome. Should we let the listener listen to some of my sound effects? Should we pick a couple of squares at random?
Yeah. I'd
do
love
that.
to listen to a bit of water.
Water. Well, let's have some of the top squares. So
You got any sheep,
have like, hang on. Let me just have a look. I'll pick a good square for you. Have you got the map there? Have the one with the where are the ducks near, Dan?
The duck is number 4.
Number 4. All right. So have a listen to
Dan with his proper bingo caller pattern.
Hang on. We'll do this in real time. Dropbox. And we'll put the audio in so you can listen to it. This is exciting. If we listen to square 3, so that square 3 is just next to square 4, isn't it, Dan?
And after
Yeah.
square 2.
That's how numbers work.
Yeah. So let's listen to square 3. So the idea in square 3 is that you can hear the ducks faintly in your right ear if you're listening to this on headphones or on your right speaker. I don't know if you can. You should be able to.
Yeah.
So you know that. So you know then, if you want to head towards the ducks, you go right.
Yeah.
So it's like echolocation.
So that's square 3. Let's have another one with a church. The church I'm the most proud of. So let's go square 13.
It's like we're playing
Let's listen
Battleship.
to square 13.
Dan had
So
his
again-
headphones the wrong way around.
You should just be able to hear the sound of the bells of the church in the distance.
I can.
Yeah. So you know as a player, I've got to go in that direction to the right. to get near to the church, and that basically is a very simple sound design of just in time for Christmas. Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot. It's kind of how I imagined it to be.
We're going to make $1 billion, guys.
$1 billion. Now, of course, my sound design is never going to be turned into anything of merit or of art, let alone orchestrated by a number of people playing archaic instruments. However, Chris, you know lots about that, don't you? Because you went to go and see the very same thing, game music being turned into orchestral scores. This is what we talked about Manchester at the start of the show. So let me just filter this into what we're talking about in our game. When we thought about the music design for our game, as you've just heard, it's basically the music, I say that music, the sound effects are a character. They are someone guiding you. They're not really an atmospheric piece, unlike most gamer music. So how was it for you, like listening to music which is usually like serves a purpose in a game in like an artistic space? Is that right? What did you go see? You went to go and see Gamer Live, or?
I went, my significant other, my lovely girlfriend, she very kindly bought me, as an early birthday present, bought us tickets to go and see Video Games Live, which I'd seen on YouTube a few times and I was intrigued by. I love this notion of these kind of game music being given like a classical rendition. And so we went along to Manchester, O2 Apollo. Incidentally, Video Games Live is currently touring the rest of Europe. They're still touring now as we speak. And it was a very strange experience. I really enjoyed it, but we both agreed it was incredibly strange. Firstly, my girlfriend isn't a gamer. She's watched me play a number of games, but she's not a gamer. So, but she came along and kind of sat with me. So it was really interesting kind of seeing it through her eyes as well. And there were many times we turned to each other and said, I don't know what this game is. Don't know anything about this. And I was kind of uneasy. I wasn't sure whether I wanted it to be treated like it was the proms, last night at the proms, very serious, kind of we sit in silence, or whether I wanted it to kind of rebel against that. And Video Games Live is really the brainchild of Tommy Tallarico, who's had a hand in many games we've probably played, particularly of our childhood. I remember booting up a number of games, and you get Tommy Tallarico Studios in the start menu.
Earthworm Jim?
Yeah, exactly.
Earthworm Jim's one of his, MDK. A whole bunch of other games.
Yeah, and he is on tour with them, so he was there. He was on stage. He was emceeing the whole thing, and he talked quite candidly how it was like a private passion of his. How he'd been composing game music for years, and he felt that they needed to be taken seriously, and as any kind of classical concert would be. But he didn't want us to treat it like it was a classical concert. He said, "If you want to cheer. I'm more than happy for you to do that. Take photos, that kind of thing. I want this to be a fun experience."
Oh, Chris. Can I just tell a story now? So you talked about last night, the problems about how to behave. I read this fantastic story about this guy who went to a last night at the proms, not just a proms concert. And before he went, he studied the piece of music that was going to be played, like in depth. So he knew exactly when the end of each like aria or section was going to be. And every time each section finished, he stood up and clapped. To the horror and of the silent, obedient classical classes sitting next to him, and I thought that was quite funny because you do that at any other gig.
Yeah. Like my guttural sort of
disdain.
Noise just then is like I know exactly what that audience is thinking.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But
anyway, carry on.
But so it was a really interesting experience. No, not at all. It was a really interesting experience. And so the audience were there. I mean, I was there with my partner. We were just dressed in. We barely made it in time. We panicked. We legged it from the taxi into the theatre. There were people there dressed in like cosplay. 2 rows in front of me, there was a guy dressed completely as Link, and he'd like brandished his sword and stuff. But what was quite cool was we felt the concept was tailor made to us, because I didn't realise this, but on Facebook people could nominate what tracks they wanted playing at the gig. So that setup, that lineup, was unlike any they'd ever played before. There were some songs requested that hadn't been requested for ages, so it kind of felt tailor-made to us, even though I didn't have a hand in it because I wasn't aware of this process. But I want to ask you a question. Like, say you guys, you've got to MC, you've got to do a gig of video game themes. You've got to organise your playlist, say, that you're going to wow crowds with and get them, your floor fillers, that kind of thing. What do you open with? What is your opening game? And I'll tell you what opens.
Sonic Industrial Zone 3.
Oh, it's a brilliant one.
Well, how's that going?
Is that the one? I might have to.
Yeah, something like that. Dan, what would your opener be? It's a video game concert, Dan.
I think you've either got to go with a kind of a piece of music that's nostalgic, and so you go something like Sonic, or you go for the kind of the best piece of music you can think of. I would go with the music from a game that we've talked a lot about in the past, and most of us are a big fan of. And every time I hear the music, and I've actually heard it in things not involved with the game, which is always a bit jarring, but the music from The Last of Us, I adore, and I think that is some of my favourite music, and it just stayed with me. And I think that to open it, especially the quietness of it and the simplicity of some of the songs in that, would be beautiful just to open it up to an audience, because it's a proper full orchestral song as well. So it kind of really kickstarts an event like that. If I was curating it, of course.
Okay, Sonic, Last of Us, Gungadin, what would you open with?
I would open with.
Here we go. No one's heard of it.
I would open with
Golden Dragon 7, Makito's Revenge.
Yeah, that's right. I would probably open actually with something really playful and trying to set the tone a bit. So something like Super Mario Brothers 2's opening theme,
okay.
or something along those lines, like Mario, and something Nintendo.
Okay,
I think Mario,
because you've got here a full orchestra, full proper classical orchestra, and you've got Tommy Tallarico coming in with his guitar at times as well, like his electric guitar.
Yeah.
What opened in Manchester when I was there was Castlevania.
Yeah, Castlevania Rock.
It was extraordinary.
It's a classic. It's actually.
And I've never played the game, and it's funny. Yeah. I actually was hearing music. I thought, actually, I want to play the game now after hearing that. It's really funny. Okay, and in terms of highlights, I was thinking of you guys throughout when I'd hear certain things. Oh, Dan would love this. Like Dan, there was Uncharted 2 was played. It was amazing to hear that with a live orchestra. It's fantastic.
I do like that music.
Yeah, it was amazing. Sam, Monkey Island was played.
Good. Classic.
Yeah, it was amazing. Sonic was played. Pete, Silent Hill 2. Theme of Laura.
Which one? Theme of Laura. Yes.
That was extraordinary. And Street Fighter 2 was played as well, which was really awesome. We had a Sonic medley.
I wasn't there.
Elder Scrolls Skyrim was played as well. That was really cool with the choir. And my personal favourite was actually Earthworm Jim was a highlight for me. That was really cool. But probably because you had Tommy Tallarico there. But my personal favourite was Journey. The end credits song, I Was Born for This. They actually had a lady came on to sing only that song. It was extraordinary. So some really beautiful moments there that generally kind of it was still a strange feeling that I'm so used to playing this as having a background to actually sit and listen to this was quite odd. And we talked about music in the past, but I kind of want to just bring this kind of section to a close. So if you're closing, what is the last piece of music you play as a closing? If you want to end it, so you've begun with Castlevania, how would you end it? What would your finale be? What would you be your 1812 overture, your Land of Hope and Glory kind of thing? The waving of flags.
Question.
Probably I'd finish it with maybe something from Red Dead Redemption. So maybe Jose Gonzalez's song, or Jamie Liddell's song, or something from the OST, something from Red Dead.
Yeah, it's all pretty good, to be honest, Sam. That's a good call. Daniel?
I was thinking Red Dead as well. I'm trying to think of the song, actually. There's the song that I played at the end of my podcast, because I love the song so much, and I ended it with that.
Jamie Liddell's song.
Sam has already... Pardon?
Is it Jamie Liddell's song, the one about the compass?
When he's crossing the border, isn't he? He's going across the river.
No, that's Jose Gonzalez. The Jamie Liddell song is when he's finally killed the guy and he's returning back to his family, and it plays it.
No, it's Bury Me Not on the Lone Prairie.
Okay, so well done. Okay, Lone Prairie. Gunga Din.
Which was the first one?
I think...
Oh, another one down. Yeah, you're right.
I think I would probably go with something like really party, really like, yeah, you're going to have a really great time tonight, everybody go and have some fun. So I'd probably go with like a really reworked version of one of the Outrun themes.
Cool.
Like Splash Wave.
Can I have one other nomination?
Pokemon.
Yeah, Dan, go for it.
My one other nomination, because we don't have two from Red Dead, would be the music from the end of Metal Gear Solid 3 as well.
Oh, yeah, when he does the salute when he's at the grave.
The kind of because it's a calm ending. It's not a big ending.
You don't want
necessarily.
people walking. No, Dan. Oh, I hope you never have to organise a video game thing then, because that'd be rubbish. I don't want to walk out all calm and stuff. I want to walk out like, that was awesome.
Dan,
I
if I get married,
people to walk out with a tear in their eye. That's what I want.
Yeah, great.
Well,
look forward
gents,
to that, Chris.
Gents.
It's the end of the wedding, guys. Don't worry about it. Let's just listen to something by Radiohead.
Here we go, gents.
Hey.
What we heard was a double bill. So to end this evening, Kronos Trigger and Kronos Cross.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
But they added a post-credits kind of piece of music, which is a nice sing-along song, and that was Still Alive from Portal.
Yeah.
That was like a sing-along with the whole crowd and stuff.
Good.
I like that, actually, yeah.
It was an incredible event. There were some real nice moments of gamification, because in between sections you'd have videos on from gag films, of those things of Contra versus Duck Hunt, Sonic versus Pac-Man, Mortal Kombat versus Donkey Kong, and what ifs you put those together. If you're interested in that, go to gagfilms.com. You can kind of see what the combinations, and they're quite funny.
Just as a warning, be very specific about typing in gagfilms.com.
Yeah, noted. But they kind of really play with it. So, for example, when the first act ended and there was the interval, it had a loading screen. It's like part 2 loading, and you watch the bar go across. And then it said cheer to load part 2. So we were sat in the seats and we cheered in part. So it was some lovely touches, but it was a really quite bizarre experience. I can't really quite put my finger on whether I could take it almost seriously enough, but a really, really interesting one. And it's great to see video game music being taken that seriously. There's a great cover band who gigged with them, they're called Random Encounter, and they're amazing. They had a guy on the accordion, they had a guy just wore his boxer shorts playing on the drums, doing an amazing riff on the Zelda theme. It was a really, really interesting evening, and one that I learnt a lot about.
Sorry, that's my dog barking in the background, which is a sign, if anyone ever needs it, Chris, for you to shush. Be quiet. Do we want to talk any more about the game? I mean, it's kind of just the final piece of the jigsaw now. You've heard the music.
I think the only thing that I think needs to just check, Pete. What are we doing with the game once it's done? Have you thought anything about where we're putting it?
Yeah, we're going to put it on the internet, and obviously, I think once it's finished, I think what we do is export it so that it's a completely standalone product, so that anybody can run it on their PC, or I think
printer.
It works on on a printer, and have that, and have it so that it lives on InRetroSpectPodcast.com on a special little page somewhere. On top of that, what we're going to be doing with it is I will send it out to a select group of individuals. I'm not going to send it to IGN because I know that they won't cover it. But I'll send it out to a couple of different spots and see whether or not it gets any interest there. And I also think that what we should do, if we get a chance, is look into whether or not Steam will put it on Greenlight, because I don't see why not. Like I don't see why that would theoretically be an issue. I don't know whether or not we'd actually get through the Greenlight process, but yeah, we'll put it on those kinds of spaces and put it into the hands of those kinds of people, and then wait for feedback. Basically, obviously we'll get feedback probably next year.
Yeah,
as in, we'll receive that feedback next year, but yeah, it will live on the site, and we'll give it out to a certain set of people.
We can also exhibit it at the Game Arcade Museum in Nottingham.
Yeah, we'll rock up, punch Donkey Kong off the stand, and just be like, "Look at this!"
Just look at it.
Just in time for Christmas.
Just in time.
Well, I
fantastic.
Go on. Just say, because next month. Kind of, the next time I think we're going to be after Christmas now. So
no, this is what I was going to say, Dan. This is what I was going to say.
Well, cut me off quickly before I say something I don't mean.
We'll bring you news of the release on the Christmas special, which will of course be out before Christmas. So we'll update you on the finished product, where you can get it, how we found the whole process, sometime later this month, before Christmas, hence the reason why it's called. We will bring you that podcast just in time for Christmas.
Just in time for Christmas.
Nice.
Marvellous. So as the game trundles on, I realise I've made a horrendous error. In the other bit, I meant to say it's the Chemical Zone music for Sonic. That's what I wanted. Chemical Zone. You could say that I glitched out for a second. So to finish off this podcast, we're reawakening a terrible item that Chris... I put it at the end of the show because it was literally awful last time.
I think that's you being harsh, Sam. It's a brilliant idea.
Right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to end the show, and if you want to hang around for Chris's glitch of the month,
Jesus,
then you can do. But if you don't, then it's the end of the show, and you won't really be missing anything.
Sam, do we have to stick around?
Yes, you do. Good. Do we have a game for next month's free play?
So the next official free play.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about this today.
Good.
Just now.
There is a selection.
All right. Okay. Well, let's have it out. Hurry up.
Okay. So there is.
Listeners getting a peek behind the curtain here.
Yeah.
What a horrible peek it is. Go on. Hurry up.
There is a Dark Room, which is a survival. It's a survival management game. Very stripped back and basic. There is Bubsy's Back, a punk edutainment title that's based on Bubsy 3D, that really crap PlayStation.
Brilliant, that's got my vote. That's got my go on.
There is Depression Quest by Zoe Quinn, which is very much in the news at the moment.
Depression Quest,
okay.
Yes. Which might be something to say for, maybe
Happy New Year.
Yeah, let's not start the year off with something.
Auld Lang Syne.
GeoGuessr, which is a game in which you are kind of you're using photos to figure out exactly where it is in the world that you are, and you're sort of trying to make a guess as to the part of the world that you are, using Google Maps and photos from Google Maps.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the fourth one, which is a bit more straightforward, and that is it's called Pinball Arcade, and it is on Steam, and it is basically one table in Pinball Arcade, which is given to you for free. You get the shell product for free.
All right, okay.
And you get one table in there.
Well, I think we'll be playing Bubsy.
I think you play it in your Unity. So yeah.
Okay, what's the URL for the kids out there?
The URL I'll post it there. Is
Thanks.
Yeah, it's that.
Bubsy3D.com. Bubsy3D.com is going to be next month's free play game. This month's was superhotgame.com, which we all highly recommend. So the Professor of Pete has been Peter Willington. The Doctor of Derby has been Dr. Chris Derby. The Master of Miserly of Misery.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy with my name, by the way.
Well, it's the end of the show, Dan. You should have brought it up at the start. Was Daniel Frost.
I tried, but you kept talking.
And I've been the host, Samuel Turner. Thanks very much for listening. Goodbye. Now, if you've hung around, we're going to do an item now, which was much maligned last month. It was Chris's glitch of the month. So
we all loved it.
We've kind of brought it back in beta testing. So this is the kind of beta test of the next month. Do you want your jingle again?
Yeah, I can't really do it properly
jingle.
without the glitch.
Okay.
The jingle.
So here we are. Okay. This is Chris's glitch of the month.
Lovely. Well, after last month's, what I thought was a great success, glitch of the month.
Yeah.
The switchboards completely lit up.
Of people saying, "Don't do it again.
Don't do it again.
Don't ever do this again, Chris."
Ban this sick filth. Okay, I'm going to draw your attention to a game, Super Smash Brothers 3DS. Have you heard about this glitch?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Game costs you £25. Now, they're quite harsh, their rules are. Basically, if you do anything wrong in a multiplayer capacity, for example, if you continuously attack the same player in a group battle, or you disconnect in the middle of a match, you get a penalty. Now, how long do you think that penalty should last for? You paid the game. All you've done is you've accidentally, or you may have continuously attacked the same player in a group battle match, or you've disconnected mid-match. What should your penalty be? How long? Guess how long you think it should be.
A match or two? Couple of matches?
Couple of matches.
Minutes.
How many minutes, Sam?
10.
10 minutes. Dan?
I'm gonna go harsh. I'm gonna say half an hour.
Whoa.
Well, Dan, you're the closest, because for some reason there's been a little tiny bit of a glitch. I think they got the wrong decimal point, and players have been complaining because the game has apparently banned them for 136 years.
Brilliant.
Good work.
And you know that some super hardcore Nintendo nerds like, when I get back in the game.
Well, to be exact, it's 71,582. 71,582,030 minutes.
Jesus.
That's how long they're banned for.
Wow.
So it's a bit of a glitch.
I like that glitch. To be fair,
You
That's
give
a
up,
good
will you?
glitch.
136 years.
That's amazing.
That's extraordinary.
To be fair, though, there's been a lot of this. Isn't there is it Destiny where if you have too high? Oh no, it's not Destiny. Is it the new COD? Whereas if you have a too high kill to death ratio, you'll actually be kicked from games for being too good. So other people can just have fun. Like
Really?
I think there's a mode where you can just be like, if you're shown to be like dominating or being too good, you will get kicked from a game because
Isn't that just going to continuously encourage people to just create new accounts and just blast away noobs, basically, which is really annoying.
Which is super annoying.
it's a solution to a problem which wasn't really an issue. But Chris, that was an improvement. I enjoyed that.
That was
I now see light at the end of this glitchy tunnel.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, Chris. What we've learned from this is that visual glitches, not brilliant, not great.
For radio.
For radio, not brilliant. Glitches where a bunch of jerks get their comeuppance, pretty good.
For over 100 years.
Okay, so I want to speak. So I'm speaking to our listeners now. If both of you have come across any glitches you want me to talk about, just let us know.
Good. Well, this is now the official end of the proper show. So thanks for bearing with us.
Yeah. Cheers.
We'll be back with a special Christmas edition before the end of the month.
If you get me tat, I'm going to be
Yeah,
furious.
we're gonna do Secret Santa again.
Secret Santa's back. Quiz is back. We'll
Oh yes, the quiz is back.
finally finish this game chat, which has gone long enough.
Will I retain my crown?
Will I finally win a quiz? Is the most pertinent question.
Well, I mean,
Chris, is it 3 in a row now, or is it 2 in a row?
Yeah, it's 3 in a row, and I'm the person who knows the least about games.
That's your tactic. That's your. So we played the free game this month, superhotgame.com. You'll love it. Next proper show, which isn't like a special about Christmas and us unwrapping presents. We'll be playing Bubsy3D.com. I have been your host, Sam Turner. Joining me has been the Professor of Being Peter Winnington. There's a Doctor of Being Chris Darby, which is called Dr. Chris Darby, and then there's a Master of Being Miserly, which is Daniel Frost. Find out what they'll be next month when you join us for the InRetroSpect Show.